Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Ajoe21love, with part two of episode number 24 of Sports Review Topics. It was a little bit of a layover uh, between episodes as I thought, because as I was recording part one, right after I found out that Ravens Steelers was being played today. So a little bit later of delivery than I thought, but nonetheless, here's part two. Going over that Monday night game between Seahawks and the Eagles, and then the game just wrapped up between Ravens and Steelers, as well as giving my predictions on Week 13. Thank you all for joining me. If you're new to the podcast, like and subscribe, click on that bell. About the video, with that, so now that every game of Week 12 has played, I finally have figured out my record for Week 12. I was 9-7 based on my predictions. So there was close games. Panthers, Vikings went down to the wire. Cardinals, Patriots went down to the wire. Still a winning week, but some close calls. The Raiders disappointed me. The Rams went down the wire. This goes on and on. Just whatever. But so my thoughts on Seahawks and Eagles Monday night. Boy, was that a weird game. The Eagles, as you can tell by the thumbnail, the Eagles are a mess. They're just a mess. Part of that's been injuries. They lost to the Seahawks 23-17. Now, it was close to start. Both teams couldn't really move the ball. Couldn't really sustain the drive. And then all of a sudden, Seahawks have it. The Eagles' defense did well to start, and did what they could throughout the game. But eventually, a long pass to DK Metcalf inside the 5 sparked up the Seahawks and gave them the first touchdown and led to the first touchdown of the day. And from that, it was 14-0. And then come down at the end of the first half, the Eagles came down, scored a touchdown, made it 14-6. They thought, okay, this could go either way. And then eventually they exchanged field goals. But the Eagles' offense was just a mess. Like I said, there was one drive where they were driving down. It was 20-9. And he thought, okay, fourth down, kick a field goal. Your defense has played well enough. Make it an 8-point game. But no, they go for it on fourth down. Wentz throws a bad pick in the end zone. and yet no points on that drive. Uh, so, I mean, it was DK Metcalf, the show all night. Um, he just harassed Darius Slay, who is one of the better corners in the league. But it was just DK Metcalf's night. They just did a better job controlling the clock, and Seahawks defense has improved um, ever since getting. Now he got Snacks Harrison. LJ Collier has improved. Carlos Dunlap now in the field, and Joel Adams. Um, they're all on the field together, and that defense paired with that offense was getting healthier. Uh, is going to be a nightmare for teams. Uh, Good for the Seahawks. I'm confused with the Eagles. I mean, Hurts was in for a few plays. Wentz, he ran for some plays. They fall 3-7-1. Third place in the NFC East. See, Carson Wentz has regressed. I think we can all say that. Wentz has regressed. Now, it's just confusing because, I mean, the big contract given to Wentz, you're kind of stuck. And yes, I know injuries on the offensive side of the ball with Ertz and Deshaun Jackson, Jalen Reagor, who's back. They seemed a bit healthier on the offensive side, but now they hit a Hail Mary basically at the end of the game, which made it close. But it's just, I don't know. With the Eagles. But good for the Seahawks. They moved to 8-3. First place in the NFC West, a game ahead of, well, the Rams have the tiebreaker and play each other again at the end of the year. But, yeah, good for the Seahawks. They take the lead. I think either second or third in the NFC playoff race because the Saints are in the lead, are first seed with 9-2. So have to check that, but okay game. Now the Steelers and Ravens just wrapped up. Hard putting words because the game just wrapped up, but so the Ravens, they had many injuries. They had many people on the COVID list. Lamar Jackson, J.K. Dobbins, Mark Ingram, Mark Andrews. I mean, many injuries. Nick Boyle out for a season. They had new tight ends. So hard to put in words because the game just wrapped up, but the Ravens did what they could do, losing 19-14. Now, they had some good drives on offense. RG3 did some stuff, mostly with running the ball. They got their offense from running the ball. But I mean, the first touchdown escalated from a muff punt by Ray McLeod, uh, which gave them a short field, and they got a touchdown, their first touchdown, and then at the end of the game, uh, Trace McSorley, who came in because, well, injuries in part, they couldn't really get anything on offense, threw a touchdown to 70-yard touchdown to Marquise Hollywood Brown, uh, who made not one but two Steelers miss, and gave Ravens life after the Steelers controlled the game, although it was ugly. Nonetheless, Steelers won. They moved into 11-0. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting for the Steelers the rest of the way. I mean, the last 5 games they got Washington, Cincinnati, Washington, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, and Cleveland. So Washington will be tough because that defense. Buffalo, we know they'll be a tough outing. Cincinnati, I mean, without Joe Burrow, not really. Colts are a well-balanced team, and we'll see how that goes. And then Cleveland, they're itching to get into the crack at Pittsburgh and the dog pound at the end of the year after the way Pittsburgh took them apart in Pittsburgh early in the year. So be curious to see. But safe to say that if Pittsburgh goes to 16-0, they will have indeed earned it looking at the rest of the schedule. Now, as far as Baltimore goes, they fall at 6-5. They have a okay, decent schedule the rest of the way. They play Dallas, they play Cleveland, they play Jacksonville. They have some winnable games. They play the Giants. They are definitely not out of it thanks to that. Well, if the Titans hold on to the AFC South, that will definitely help the Ravens because they have the tiebreaker with the Colts. So they would have that in their back pocket. But the Ravens are still kind of in it, but when you look at the landscape of the AFC, it's going to be hard trying to get them back in it or for them to even make it. Excuse me. Okay, so there was that. That'll give my thoughts on or my predictions for week 13. Some interesting games, interesting storylines going into week 13. Now we start the last quarter of the NFL regular season. And this is when everything gets kind of tough. We see some teams maybe make some late pushes. Some teams fall out. This is where it gets tight. And These games will be interesting to pick. So with the flexing, so Dallas and Baltimore, which was supposed to be tomorrow. Oh, good catch. But has been flexed to Tuesday, and then Washington, Pittsburgh was flexed to Monday. So I'm going to save those games till the end. So with that, we got a big start. 8-3 Cleveland at 8-3 Tennessee. When I checked the line, Tennessee was 4-point favorites. So, I mean, Cleveland, they're going to get Myles Garrett back, which should help. We know both these teams love to run the ball. You know, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt of the Browns, and then on Tennessee side, King Henry, and then both quarterbacks have been playing good football as of late. Excuse me. Baker Mayfield hasn't thrown a pick in 4 games. Ryan Tannehill has played really well, throwing the touchdown in 8 straight games. This is interesting, but I'm going to go with Tennessee to win. I think Ryan Tannehill will do a little bit more than Baker Mayfield, and their defense I trust just a little better, even with Myles Garrett back. So I'm gonna go with. I mean, I have to change up the score so I don't get a push. So I'm gonna go with Tennessee 26, Cleveland 21. Next up, Raiders go to the Jets. Now, last year, because they've been comparing, or I've seen comparisons. So last year, the Raiders started 6-4, fell to the Jets, and couldn't really get that vibe back that they were a playoff team. This year, the Jets are actually trying to tank. So, therefore, I'm going with the Raiders get back on track after that loss in Atlanta. Get back on track, get to 7-5, 27-10 over the Jets. Next up, Jacksonville going to Minnesota. Minnesota won in solid fashion. The late game heroics by Kirk Cousins and Chad Beebe gave them that victory, and they're still very much in it at 5-6 for a playoff berth. Jacksonville, I mean, they made it close against Cleveland last week, but still, there's not much life on Jacksonville right now. I mean, I like James Robinson. I like some of their receivers, but Minnesota is playing for getting into the playoffs, and this is a game they must have to get there. So I'm going with Minnesota to win 24-12 over Jacksonville. Next up, it was supposed to be Tua versus Joe Burrow, but instead we're getting Ryan Fitzpatrick versus someone else, or Tua versus someone else. You know, Miami, they're a playoff team. They are. They have everything right is pretty much going. Whether it's Tua or Fitz, don't do too much on offense. They have a really good defense and good special teams. They don't have to do a lot on offense. Cincinnati, they had a chance with the Giants last week, but fell short. This time around, I got Miami winning 23-14. Next up, Indianapolis at Houston. Houston, they got that win on Thanksgiving over the Lions, who have now won a game on Thanksgiving in like forever. Colts are a well-balanced team. Obviously, they got punched in the mouth by Derrick Henry and the Titans. However, with the news of Will Fuller and now Bradley Roby getting suspended for the Texans, I mean, the Texans had a glimmer of hope getting into the playoffs, but I just feel like I like Deshaun Watson, but there's just not enough on this Houston offense to make me think. Now, if they can force a couple turnovers of Philip Rivers, maybe they can, but I'm going with Indianapolis to win 27-21. And again, name 4. Next up, Detroit at Chicago. Daryl Bevel's first game as Detroit head coach. There's been, there's been 2 times where new head coaches have opened up with a win, interim head coaches. Romeo Crennel with the Texans this season, and Raheem Morris earlier this season. So I expect that trend to continue. Daryl Bevel gets the first win in his debut as head coach, as the Troy Lions head coach. In Chicago, Mitchell Trubisky is going to start. I don't care. I said that if the Bears were going to lose to the Packers, I will pick them again the rest of the season. I'm not. So, Lions win 24-17. Next, we got New Orleans going to Atlanta. Second go around. Taysom Hill, his third starting quarterback. I mean, his first game against the Falcons, pretty good. Last week against Denver, it was kind of ugly, but I just think, see, Falcons are still in it as well, but Saints just have too much playmakers on their offense. I mean, they were getting Latavius Murray was being the star of the show in Denver. Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Jared Cook, Troutman. I mean, and their defense is arguably the best in the league. I expect Atlanta to score. However, I think Falcons cover and Saints win 21-20. Next up, Giants going to Seattle. The Giants are playing hard, and I was tempted to go with an upset here. But with Daniel Jones not practicing today with his hamstring, there might be a good chance they could still play him, but Colt McCoy is likely to start, and I think with Daniel Jones, he had a chance. Colt McCoy, not really. I still think they are a favorite to win the NFC East. However, Seattle wins 30-26. Next up, we got the Rams going to Arizona, and kind of a must-win in the NFC West. So the Rams lost last week, and a tough heartbreaker to San Francisco. This week they go to Arizona, who has lost 2 straight after Hail Murray. What is the health of Kyler Murray's shoulder? I just think while they're trying to rest him, they're doing too ill. Right now, I just have more faith in the Rams. Their offense, they're the more well-balanced team, in my opinion. So I'm going with the Rams to win 27-23. And stay in contention to win the NFC West. Next up, the Patriots going to the Chargers, SoFi Stadium. The Patriots won the walk-off to win against the Cardinals on Sunday. Chargers have been a disappointment all season. I mean, their offense not so much. It's been the play calling, and that final 40 seconds of that game for the Bills epitomizes what the play calling and the type of season the Chargers have had. And I mean, Anthony Lynn is probably going to get fired. The Patriots are still in it. And, excuse me, the Patriots, it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be ugly. But they can still very much move the ball. They can do what they need to do. They still have a very stout defense. And when you look at the Chargers, what do they love to do? Throw the ball. And what is the strength of the Patriots defense, their secondary, and what the Chargers bad at, run the ball. So that aspect, I'm going with Patriots to win, move to 500, 6-6, 24-21. Maybe the Chargers score late to keep it close, but I got the Patriots winning and still staying alive. Next up, Eagles going to Green Bay. The Packers are on fire. See, they know how to beat up on bad teams. Against the Bucks and the Colts, they have done admirably, but they have lost to both. The Eagles, that was a game they kind of had to win to kind of stay alive in their division. They're still alive, but I just don't have faith right now in the Eagles. So I'm going with the Packers to win because this could very well be a close game. 28-20, Packers win. That's basically it. Sunday Night Football. Chiefs host the Broncos. Hope the Broncos QBs are in check and Drew Lock plays. Kansas City is just operating at another level. There's a way to beat the Chiefs, and Vic Fangio can probably find some ways to confuse the Chiefs and get them riled, but I just think the Chiefs, they just have too much firepower on offense, and I'm going with them to win over Broncos 30-21. Perhaps Broncos keep it close and then Chiefs pull away. Now getting into the Monday games. So I'm not sure which is first. Well, I think Washington and Pittsburgh is first, so I'm going to do them. So Washington at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh now at 11-0. Washington, they're 4-7, tied for the league lead or division lead in their division. This could be a trap game. Obviously we just saw the Steelers beat the Ravens in ugly fashion. This could be a trap game, and if it happens, it happens, but I just think the Steelers defense, now have to check the health status of Bud Dupree because he exited, but I think that Steelers defense can make some plays against Alex Smith and the offense because they're not a high-powered scoring offense. They like to be efficient and have their defense clean up for them. So I'm going to go with Steelers 20-16. It can be ugly. So they'll probably cover. Now, I have Washington covering, so we'll see. Next Monday night football, Bills going to Arizona to play the 49ers. Talk about 2020. So the Bills, they are 8-4. You know, they'll be tempted. The Bills are not that really good. They are kind of a middle of the pack, almost top 10 defense. Uh, the Bills offense, they are explosive, but they can kind of get uh, stale and kind of pungent in the mud at times. And they kind of got stuck at the Chargers on Sunday. The 49ers, they're healthier. They're getting healthier. You know, Debo came back. Brandon Ayuk has been activated off the COVID list. You know, their defense, D Ford is not going to come back the rest of the season due to a back issue. But they are getting somewhat healthier, especially Richard Sherman back. I'm going with the upset because I think San Francisco knows that how much this game means. So I'm going to go with San Fran to win 28-26. So that's Monday night. Now, Tuesday football to wrap up week 13. Dallas going to Baltimore. So Dallas, we know, has been a disappointment. 3-8. Everybody kind of hopped on the bandwagon after he beat Minnesota in a shootout. Then they looked awful against Washington on Thanksgiving. Baltimore, I mean, have to see where everyone is. I mean, you know, where's Lamar Jackson? J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram should be back. I'm just curious. There's a bunch of unknowns with this game. I mean, because both teams are really still trying to play for something. But Baltimore, I'm going with better team. Simple. They beat Dallas 19-10. Simple. Dallas could definitely beat on Baltimore if they play the cards right. But that's been the thing with Dallas this whole season. They have the talent. They just have not put together, whether it's Zeke fumbling, whether that's the offensive line falling apart. It's just not come together like what many people thought it could be in the offseason. It's like I said that in the offseason, they're trying to boost up that defense as much so Dak could show if he's really worth it and if they could take him to the promised land. Well, injuries and also Dak's injury has prevented that outcome and likely put the nail in the coffin of Dak's career in Dallas. So, but like I said with this game, 19-10 is my score for Baltimore hosting Dallas. So, anyway, those are my thoughts on Week 13. There are some news as far as the MLB is concerned. A couple of transactions. So, uh, the Mets have acquired Trevor May, who was on the Twins bullpen uh, last season, the condensed season for the MLB. I mean, the Mets, they were disappointing uh, again last season. Um, the Mets and the Patriots are the two teams that disappoint me uh, this season. Usually it's just the Mets that disappoint me, but now the Patriots come back in it. The Mets, we'll see. Like they always say in baseball, there's always the next year. And as far as the Twins are concerned, they did not tender uh, a Rosario. Um, so he'll be free for anyone to sign in the offseason. Could be a sneaky addition to any team. LeBron James also signed an extension, 2 years, $85 million. LeBron, if he can still do it at high level, and he just keeps doing it. He got his fourth title this year for the Lakers. I expect them to be the favorites going into next season, especially with the injuries to the Warriors. We'll see about the Nets and Dallas and Denver, Miami. There are some good teams, but I think as the repeating champs, they'll probably be the favorites. The Clippers also re-signed Reggie Jackson, so some transactions for you. But so the Clippers, we'll see with Ty Lue how it all works. But nonetheless, so that was part 2. I apologize for the little layover because the postponement again of the Ravens Steelers game, but got the part 2 up for you. That's the episode for you. So thank y'all for joining me. I'll be back tomorrow. I mean it, tomorrow with my AEW Dynamite review of Winter is Coming episode. So thank you for joining me. Like and subscribe. Thank you all and be safe.